Welcome to the third day of Quocent Summit and another interesting and evaluating session. In this session, we'll be hosting Saswat Kumar Panda, CEO of Quocent from last 10 years, who is a reputed tech entrepreneur, digital innovator, and sought after business consultant. With his profound strategic business knowledge and IT expertise, he creates environments that fosters innovation. An agile transformer, Saswat has been a frontrunner in facilitating the adoption and diffusion of new age digital solutions across organizations. Saswat is an expert with considerable power and authority in new age solutions like artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, and data science. An effortless conversationalist, quite known for his genuine personality, he is passionate about technology with a human touch. Sashwat has astute faith in long term partnerships and leverages advanced technology to simplify the everyday challenges of companies. So, without further ado, let's welcome him to the space. Hello, Sashwat.
Hi, Hi, Nikita. Thanks for
Very good
hosting.
morning and welcome to Vocal Summit 2022. So,
Thank you.
how are
Thank you.
you and how's life been like in the post COVID period?
All good. All good. I think this is also a fantastic experience beyond COVID. We have been going through a lot of challenges. I think the country has been going through challenges. The industries have been going through challenges. It's a good time that we see things going back to the normal stage, and we are coping up with COVID and going things well. So yeah, overall it's fine. It's good.
Okay, great. So, we can start with the session now.
Sure,
Uh,
please.
so, you can carry on with the like thing that you said that you can speak for 20 to 30 minutes and then we will continue with the Q&A session. Yeah.
All right, all right. Um, Nikita, again, thank you so much for hosting me today. First of all, I would like to apologize to your team also for yesterday, yeah, cancellation because started traveling. We were doing all the meetings virtual, and now we again started moving across. Uh, I think our center of focus today is more about how women can participate in the tech industry as such and all. Um, Now, starting with the information from Quotient itself, how Quotient is leading by some of the examples, and why we feel that the participation of women is so important. In fact, we have I personally, as a founder of Quotient, have a fantastic experience back in my company where one of my key tech founders is a woman too. My wife Priyanka, who is part of my company, she was the first co-founder of my company who started with me, and uh, it has been an amazing journey where especially when I was looking everything on the business side, and she took up things from the technical side itself. I was struggling to have technical co-founders, and that's where probably she chipped in, and it was just an experiment, but it went to a level where she was able to lead the team, was training them across multiple technologies and things like that. So I think, and we did it from Bhubaneswar itself. And again, setting up in Bhubaneswar the company, and you understand when you started from a tier two city in India itself, the challenges are even 100 times bigger than the other cities in terms of the exposure, the kind of people and the talent, the professionalism, and everything that you get. So a lot of patience, I could say that she could carry because she is a woman. Usually they deal with a lot of different things probably the men can't understand, and it's and that is something that I felt that it has also brought a lot of good things to the table when it comes to professional side as well. So we started expanding to the international avenues. Primarily we are working from Malaysia and Singapore, and we have our business headquarters in Malaysia as well, and we expanded in Southeast Asia with the new board members and all. So last 5 years has been a very good journey for us actually moving into that zone. And technically speaking, I think if you look into the industry average when it comes to women in tech, I would say that probably okay, there are two parts of the participation of women we can look at. One is about what percentage of women are actually serving the entire tech industry right now. So roughly, I think 34 to 35%, or probably roughly the average is 34, 35%. But what about the leadership? On the leadership side, it is little on the lower side, around 20-25%. Now there has been a lot of debates that we actually go through, and we speak to industry experts, we talk about this, and in fact my own company has around 40% of women tech working in the technical side, on the coding side and all. Now we are meeting up the same industry standards. So now, is it through an intentional thing that you push more women to actually work and all those things? You don't have to do that actually. By doing that, actually, I come from a different perspective for this. You don't have to look into the empowerment angle of, probably, you don't have to, because they are the one. Because of them actually we are empowered. The very reason of our existence on this earth, I say, is because of women too. So how can we empower them? So they are themselves empowered a lot. You just have to provide them a platform, an opportunity where they can excel, just like the other people they're doing. um, but there has been debates like why the leadership is only 20-25%, but we don't see the other side of the picture. For an example, when we started, probably when how is the male and female ratio in leadership itself. So I know back, if you go for 10 years down the line, 10 years back or 20 years back or 30 years back, if you see, you would realize that it was natural for men to go out to work and all those things. So it was very natural for them to actually also take up the leadership position and all those things. As women got into a situation, and they have to fight also those social levels to actually come to a stage where they can convince, uh, the fraternity or the environment that they can also work and all those. And from there, if you see the kind of journey that they have taken for such a long time, it's almost like 25% is not a bad thing also. So I think that participation is increasing, and we can see more and more coming up, more and more startups and more companies coming up. They are taking the initiatives as well. They are coming out as well, and the social taboo and everything which is being holding up all these things is getting into a backseat.
So, talking about the initiatives that Quocent has taken to like increase the female participation, are there any special kind of initiatives that the company has taken, maybe?
Yeah, special initiatives, I would say that, as I told you, that we really don't have to be in a situation where uh, we especially have to tell them that, hey, Quotient is somebody who is actually looking for women empowerment. No, as I said, they can lead that. So what we do is, when I get a chance to actually speak to my team members, and I get a time to actually speak to them one to one, actually, I ensure that probably I give them an idea that, whether it's about your marriage, or it's about your social things, or it's about anything else, don't park your professional things by side just to please everybody. I mean, this is equally an important thing, and we don't see that why they don't get into the leadership side also. On the majority of the side, they have these challenges. They have to please almost everybody to ensure that where the husband is relocating, then probably she has to relocate, and she has to fit and find. I see these as most of the challenges, in fact. And this is where we try to tell them that, I'm not saying that you become offensive and say that, hey, I'm not going to do that. No, but the same way how the men actually negotiate about their own standings with respect to their locations, with respect to their ambitions and aspirations, why don't you negotiate the same thing in the same way itself? And more women, and I'll tell you, from when you look into the urban side of the story, definitely the women has more exposure. The parents are much more, much more advanced in terms of their thinking, their process, the forward thinking process and all. But when it comes to the women who are coming from a semi-urban areas, or probably from the areas where they little got exposure, they're actually happy with that sometimes. At least itna bhi nahi hota tha, now this is also happening, so this is how it's going to be. So we tell them that, don't stop here actually. You don't have to park your things with respect to 10 people around you suggesting you that, tomorrow you're going to have a marriage, going to have kids and all those things. So everything is going to be normal. That's the social side that you'll all carry out with everything. But don't park your professional dreams for the sake of this thing. Don't make it an interval between your professional stuff, because professional stuff is also going to be your backbone as well. So we try to actually, in Quotient, actually we try to have one-to-one sessions to actually help them out with this, whether they work with Quotient or somewhere else. Ultimately it is serving the industries at large. So it is just not about building a culture in Quotient itself, but we try to ensure that probably we actually try to figure out more and more, and especially when we have a technology headquarters back in Bhubaneswar, little more difficult compared to the other big cities, where it's you have to convince a little more, I don't know, because they don't want to also disappoint their near and dear ones about their prospect, and they try to, it's that they fail to negotiate at some times because of their own situations. So we try to address that. We try to help them out in those situations so that they become more confident. Once they become more confident and they have a little bit of major exposure, they realize that they can also negotiate on these things. I think they're doing fantastic.
Yes, agreed. So, like, Quocent seems an interesting company. Our viewers might be interested to know what the concept was, like how the concept of Quocent was born. So, can you
Okay.
just brief us?
Yeah, yeah, sure. We started Quotient, back in 2011. I started with some of my ex co-founders and it didn't work out in for a few years' time. As usual, when you start, probably the mindset, the psychology, and everything. So we started as a typical web company itself, website company, designing website, a simple things, and we didn't have a really good direction. I just wanted to be an entrepreneur. That's it. That's the dream that you have at an age of 25, and you just wanted to make sure that probably you can do anything in this world. I started off figuring out that itself, but in few years I realized that probably we have to narrow down our approach and all those things. So today, Quotient is actually over the period of time pivoting from one place to another, and working with. We started with some local customers, struggled it out for a few years, the partnerships and all that. Then the team became a little stable in 2015, and then we started working for the international revenues, starting from Singapore and Malaysia, and then we expanded. I got my resident status under the innovation category by MDEC Malaysian government itself, from Odisha itself. So all these things happened and boosted up, and in fact in 2015 was one of the breaks when I also got a youngest entrepreneur status in state of Odisha itself, by STPI and the government of Odisha. So all these and several different awards, recognitions, and all those things. I think awards are not very important on those perspective in terms of we differentiate ourselves from other companies. But yes, that does push us. Those recognition does push us that we're doing something right, and we have tried our level best to actually figure out the models, business models, how we. So we are a typically a turnkey solution company, working with the customers. We had been sector agnostic, but now we started focusing more on the e-commerce, supply chain, and those kind of specific industries where we can work on certain niche technologies, right from AI to other things. And we design turnkey solutions, co-create with the customers. So they're a typical business model that we have evaluated and we are working on. So we're going to function in the long term, so as a hybrid company which is focusing on niche services, as well as we will have our own product lines as well. So we are in those direction itself. So now we are based out from Malaysia and India right now. Singapore, we're going to host ourselves as a parent company again. And we just signed up with one of the organizations, large organizations, back in Hyderabad itself today, I mean day before yesterday, to start our operations in Hyderabad too. So that's all about Quotient and all.
Great, great, sir. Congratulations for those all achievements and awards, that recognitions you got. And I guess our company could relate that with you, that yes, these awards and recognitions always push us to do better. So moving on to our next question, like how difficult was it to set up a business abroad? Because from being from India and going there, we are having so many restrictions in India itself. So how was the process, and what were the challenges that you faced?
Uh, uh, I'm typically a bootstrap entrepreneur. I had survived on customer revenues. We don't have any external investments in the company. We have survived with our customer revenues. We have scaling up with those things, and we have enjoyed this journey of probably focusing more from the customer angle itself. Setting up company in international revenue was actually. I won't say setting up is difficult, but how do you reach there is one of the major tasks. So you create your network, you get an exposure across in India, you talk to people around, and then you get your first work order. Our first work order was from Singapore, so that's how we started. I remember those days when we did that job for free of cost for 3 months. And then the customer gave us a $10,000 check. That was the first order that we get 7 years back, 8 years back, and that was how we started. And we realized that we can actually do better in the international side also. One of the key things that we were focusing and pushing ourselves is because in those time, actually, I would say that in these years itself, one of the key things that Bangalore or Hyderabad or all the major cities and Gurgaon and all, they have already established themselves as key centers for technology, and they have a brand name. as far as the location is concerned too. So that was one of the fights when we go to international revenue. These are the questions that we have to answer. Hey, why not in Bangalore? Why not in Hyderabad? Why are you from Bhubaneswar? And do you get people in Bhubaneswar and all those? So struggling out those FAQs with the customers was one of the major challenges, I would say, not about setting up. And then you have to keep working with the customers and show them that probably you can maintain the same professionalism. You can also get right workforce to actually work with them. So you start solving their problems, you start solving their issues. You get the same feeling itself, whether you're working from which corner of India, and whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter at all. And ultimately the passion of the entrepreneurs, we were truly entrepreneurial in our journey, transparent to our customers. And with those kind of facts in place, we have reliable customer base back in Southeast Asia, and we're expanding out there.
So, why not in Bangalore or why not in Gurgaon? That was my next question. What are the lags that we are having in India as compared to Malaysia? Maybe.
Uh, we don't have lagging actually. I feel that India is at the best bright spot right now. In terms of startup funding, or you to look into the startup ecosystem, I think we are too big now. The new co-founders, the new founding, people coming from every corner of India right now, whether it is tier one or tier two and all those things. The lot of rush by the government also to promote and encourage startups. The government of India is also doing a lot of stuff in those levels. I don't see any challenge. I think India is far superior when it comes to producing the global CEOs, or about startups, or about raising funds, or about having energetic entrepreneurs who can actually do something really great. With those kind of nationalistic stuff like Atmanirbhar and all those things, a lot of things have actually helped a lot. I think it's a combined effort of government, the founding people of the companies, the ecosystem, the people. In fact, today, I think when I started, I remember in Bhubaneswar that, when you're starting, why you're doing a company? I mean, why do you need to do that? Just go for a job and do this. I think the narrative had changed. You don't have to convince your fraternity that, why you're starting up a company. In fact, they would go out to this level saying that, probably what happens if you fail, nobody will give you a girl to also marry. So, I mean, coming from those days and reaching out. So I don't see any challenges. Yes, now we have to learn a lot of things, I think. So we have a lot of companies who are doing exceptionally well globally. When it comes to Singapore, US, yes, they have better infrastructure still in terms of different aspects itself, but India is matching up to that standard. In terms of talent, we have shown across the globe that we are not running short of talent in any way. Rather, we want our talents to come back and again do something bigger here. And we also have now a set of board members from Malaysia also. And we felt that we don't want to be an outsourcing and offshoring company where it's just going to another avenue and probably fetching jobs and things like that. No, we wanted to change the narrative as well. We wanted to build an Indo-Malaysian, Indo-Southeast Asian company where collaboratively we work with them, and we try to tell them that neither they are threat to us, nor neither we are threat to them in any way. So we want to collaborate, we want to share our exchange, our values, we want to share our culture, and we want to build the best thing. In fact, even recently also by CII, we won the best IT company award back in Bhubaneswar itself. And we realized, and the storyline that we had is, back in Kalinga or Odisha was known to be a state where they have strong trade routes across Southeast Asia. So I'm one of those, probably ambassadors. I told that, probably that was the storyline we had, that we wanted to revive those trade routes to Southeast Asia and probably build that journey again back. We have that in the blood, but we just wanted to probably bring that back. So yeah, it has been good. It has been good.
Nice. So, do you think like we need to change something in our work culture, like what we are having in India and what we are having abroad? So, are there any changes that should be done in the work culture itself?
I think we on a larger side. I think I haven't always been. I think it's an early stage. There has been multiple perception regarding the industry, how it functions, multiple perception regarding how people work and all. Everybody have there. You don't have to prescribe people how to do something. But what I on the larger side, what I figure out is probably the disparity in terms of the income structure, the ways we decide the merits in the industry, in terms of providing them the probably the benefits or the salaries or whatever it is. A sustainable business model, probably it's not about raising up something quickly and then probably we don't know where it's going. uh, we should be more towards the sustainable business model, so that probably the ecosystem and all those things is pretty much. In fact, in our company itself, we said we need attitude for 70%, 30% is skills. Because skills we can help you to acquire, we can help you to actually learn, and in IT and tech, I think Indians have got the blood right now to actually take up things in whatever way they want. But what matters is how we build a mutually respectable place. How do we ensure that probably we build more transparency? In fact, one of the key things that we did in our company as part of the culture is right from the CEO to everybody should be sitting in the same chair. We should not have any kind of privilege when it comes to even the chairs. And that was something very new in Bhubaneswar, because the people stepping into my company would ask me, hey, where is the CEO sitting actually? Where is your room? I said, there's no room for me actually. So everything is everybody's room. Every chair is everybody's chair. So, and it was very new in Bhubaneswar, because it's always like CEO is the king of the company itself, and he should be sitting in a raising chair and all this. So we figured out that is something that needs to be changed. We need to figure out that we don't just promote co-working culture, but we behave in a co-working level itself, and we try to respect each and every colleague in the same level itself. Let's work like a team, that we are friends to each other and all those. So those kind of culture and all those things are very important. So we're trying to figure out those narratives, and I think industry at large also. You see, if you ask me, like, if my exposure to different set of companies, and I meet a lot of big companies as well, small companies, international companies, their founders, their vice presidents, and all people from different brackets. What I realized, it's not the company at large. I would talk about the professional companies who actually want any culture to be bad. It is always certain set of people within the, I mean, India is not bad at large. It is a certain set of people, probably, probably they disturb at certain levels and all those. It's the same thing with the company also. As company gets larger, you hire more managers, you hire more people, you trust them, you ask them to manage. So it's very difficult for founders of the companies on the top level to actually look into those micro subjects. And that is where things start failing in terms of culture, and that's where people started to get disconnected. So if you can actually build those personal equations back in the company and actually help it out, I think that's something that at a larger level, at the industry level also, we need to figure out.
Right, right. So, like you have started your own startup. So, what do you think? Like, how important is it to build a community for a startup growth?
It's extremely important. I always say that in a business, you become a startup and you have to dream of a business. You can't remain a startup. And when you dream of a business and you try to build certain things, it's very important you build a community, because it's always a word of mouth which works very fast. It's always about whether it is your customer or your employees. Even sometimes most of the people that we get inside the company is also from the same employees who refer other people from other companies. uh, uh, and when it comes to customers also, they say, hey, I have a friend who is also looking for the same thing, can you do? So in fact, you ultimately drive relationships, whether it is on internal level, with your employees or with your customers or with your channel partners or vendors or whoever it is. So it's a collaborative ecosystem where community at large is extremely important, because we exchange a lot of values with each other. In fact, with the vendors also, for an example, I don't want any of my vendors to chase me for payments. So I ask my finance to actually figure out, because I look at them at some kind of a talent who is actually trying to solve some of our problems. So we need to respect them in that way itself, and that's how the community is built. And you give them a different experience back in the company, back to the customers, back to them also. So in fact, in turn, indirectly, you build a community at large, which actually keeps serving each other. And you keep getting calls, you don't have to chase, and probably people get back to you in terms of the opportunities and the kind of new things which can happen. So yes, community is very important.
Great. So, sir, like we talked about that women should be given equal platform. Like we need to just provide them the platform. They don't need empowerment. So, like, do you think they are receiving the same opportunities as the men in the industry?
I see from a very positive angle. I would say the new look at the new stage of companies which are coming up. Women have been vocal right now. They were having a lot of fear in the past in terms of who would feel what, but they're now vocal about what they want, whether it is about in their personal life or their professional. So that is also building a new narratives back in the companies too. So I mean, they have started questioning why that guy is getting this amount of money and with the same experience I'm getting. So we explain them. And I rather I try to probably also encourage them to keep criticizing us if there is some problems that happens on that level. So I would say things are changing. Things are changing very fast. In fact, the women themselves are changing these narratives. See, people won't. Over the years, we never have. Look at one of the examples like the traffic system itself. You don't expect people to actually follow the rules. Actually, the government has to put a lot of fine to actually get people in. And I know everywhere in the world, it's the same thing itself. So women have to change the narratives by themselves. And I told you it's vice versa. If you are We have a limitations when we talk to the employees too, because her father could be saying something, his brothers should be saying something, husband can be saying something, and all those things. You have to figure it out. You have to be little vocal about those aspects as well. That's where companies can't get into. So those are the personal zones. Probably they have to sort it out. But yes, when it comes to us, we can do anything for that level. So we try to set a narratives on that. I think a lot of founders are doing the same thing, and in fact, they're coming out building the startups. They're coming and raising themselves. See, look at the journey. I told you that the leadership is now around 25% roughly, so which is a fantastic figure itself, because you look into where they started and how they have fought the battle to come to even this stage. So I think in a very short period of time now we're going to have a 50-50 partnership with the employees. But we don't have to play with the statistics actually, and we don't have to actually, okay, 60% should be women, then we are happy. 80%, no, then probably at some point of time we would be talking about where men are going. So we don't have to talk about those things, but rather provide the similar opportunity for everybody, whether it is male, female, even the transgenders, or handicapped people, or whatever it is. I mean we have to provide equal platforms to everybody. If somebody has a talent and skill and the attitude to come on board, why not? You should be very open to that thing itself. That is the narrative that we should be debating, we should be talking, and we should be providing across. I see that a lot of things happening in those levels. Women are very vocal. They are changing the narratives by themselves. They don't need us to actually change it. We are just have to just assist them and probably have to support them in their narratives.
Agreed, sir. Completely agreed. So, the next question would be, what is the future objective of Quocent as a company, and what is your vision of for the company?
At large, our company wants to we wanted to also build new joint ventures. We want to start up new product companies as well. We want to work in a different model itself. But at large, Quotient should be known for the culture they have built, whether it is about hiring, it is about training, it is about the ecosystem. In fact, if you see some of the at this level also, the kind of joint ventures or probably the collaborations that we do, the MOUs we signed with universities and different accelerators. In fact, beyond my work and beyond my jobs at Quotient, I also get involved into a lot of places, whether it is incubators, accelerators, and things like that. To get into it, startups. It's not about being just in the advisory panel, become a mentor or something like that. But I think we share a lot of value with a lot of talents coming up. So we share a lot of values with these startups. We talk to them and figure out there could be a lot of opportunities we can collaborate on. Also, at large, I think we wanted to contribute more to the ecosystem. We wanted to build a leadership which is more driven by empathetic culture itself. Definitely, women should be more in the participation. We should be leading by example as well. And yes, at large, we should be known across the globe for the culture that we have built, starting from Bhubaneswar, expanding globally.
Okay, so wish you all the best for this vision. And do you have any suggestions for the early age startups to raise these angel funds?
I think, honestly, Nikita, the platforms, the incubators, the accelerators, the government. You talk about even the VCs, the investors at large, or the ecosystem itself. It's doing a lot of things right now. There's a platform is very open. I don't see any challenge right now for people to actually, yes, your idea should be credible. You should be more focusing on the execution. So execution, as we always say that just raising an idea could be just 1%, but how you execute it is 99%. So one of the key things that any of the companies that wanted to start, uh, uh, don't be too analytical about your startup and all those things. If you believe there is a market demand and you can build some business around it, end of the day, the business needs to make money. So the investors would ask you, the employees would need the same thing, the other people would need the same thing. So I realized late that, no matter whatever you're trying to convince the market, if you are able to build a business, the market will be convinced over the period of time that what you're trying to build. So stick to your conviction. Yes, you should be constantly looking into, because what your business model is doing, where it is failing, how you can actually solve it, make it more collaborative. I think, uh, even if we don't say, personally, we hold a lot of, when we start a company and all those, we get hurt and emotional about a lot of things what people criticize and all. We should avoid. I have also learned that very hard way. uh, but that helps a lot. You should be going to like minded. You don't have to go out to probably everybody to seek, attention and all. But for me, if you ask me, for my company, I always say that my customers are my biggest mentors. They have taught us a lot. If we have any kind of doubt regarding our company, what we should be improving, how we should be doing, where we should be going, I ask them those questions and we get fantastic answers from them. So I think largely, I suggest that the new founders have a lot of good platforms. The government is pretty aware of things. A lot of good things are coming up, whether it is about infrastructure, funding, everything. Now everything, it's a very good time for companies to, the founders to think about a new idea and things like that. And people are doing that already, and there's a momentum which is already riding very high.
Right, sir. So, like we talked about customers being the mentors, but like we are having a team of interns and team of freshers who are very much afraid of the professional world. So, like, is there any advice that you want to give them, or the kind of like uh, enthusiasm that you can provide for them?
Sorry, beg your pardon. Once again, I lost your like.
So I mean, there are a lot of freshers who are afraid of professional world, or who are like afraid that they are not having those skills that they need to maybe be successful in the industry. So any kind of advice that you want to give them?
You're talking about freshers?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Okay. First of all, in my company also, when there are a lot of hiring that we do, then probably it's a very typical thing that people come out and ask, like, sir, I'm a fresher, so I don't know. I said, stop using the term freshers. See, I'll tell you something. I look into the talent itself. In fact, some of my team members in the company itself, they have raised themselves to a very good level, because we look into the attitude itself, and then we look into also. We don't look into whether you have a gray hair or not. We don't care about that. What we care about is, do you have an attitude to lead a team? Do you have an attitude to actually solve a problem for the customer? If you're ready to do that, you have 1 year experience or 5 years experience, you should come on board and go. So we try to set some examples around that itself, because when I started, I was kind of a fresher only, not doing a job and thinking of building a company, and I failed miserably for first few years, and that's how I learned. But who doesn't fail? Everybody fails. It's just that, you actually fail when you don't when you fail to try actually. So I don't see any challenge. You have to take every criticism, every kind of exposure as an experience, build your experience on top of it, and continue with that momentum. And somewhere or the other, even you don't have a specific goal direction, multiple views from your family, from your friends, and all the people. The more and more you hear about those things, you feel left out. So it's important that you don't compare too much to, to others. Try to better yourself compared to your own self itself, and continue with that momentum, because as you keep getting exposure, you never know how you're going to have your own directions. So you will eventually, if you are passionate about your things, what you're doing, and you were able to figure out what you're able to do, you seek the similar kind of people over the period of time, and eventually it might take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and you will build those skills. You will also seek those people, and indirectly in form of mentors, they would be in your life, in terms of your colleagues, it could be friends, it could be something. And you can progressively, you can progress in a very good way, taking those positive criticism and all. So there's nothing as such to become reserved about, being fresher or starting up or something like that. I have seen 2 year experience guy solving a problem which a 5 years guy also could not do it, because of an attitude only, because he felt that this is a problem that I need to solve, and the customer is in a problem. So he was more empathetic towards the customer. So definitely he deserves a better package. He deserves a better growth and all those things. So the 5-year guy doesn't need to be probably disappointed. But if he's disappointed, it's his problem, it's not the problem. Because it's not about 1 year, 2 years, and we have seen also freshers also thinking in the same level itself. It's just as I told you that it's about your own passion, it's about your own uh, exposure and all those things that you are open to. If you're open to criticism, you're open to larger context of how things can happen at your side, I think you would sail it very quickly.
Okay. So I hope these kind words would give a perspective to our generation, kind of thing. And like, what are the different career opportunities available at Quocent?
At Quotient, right now, the majority of the hiring that we do is probably on the tech side, coders. We thrive mostly on open source innovations. So we design everything on open source itself, primarily on open source. And so you can talk about probably the coders, right from AI to typical any kind of technologies that we are working on the open source side. We hire mostly those kind of people. In fact, on the sales and marketing side also, we definitely look forward to those people who can actually uh, do well, engaging the customers, and can work on those side itself. So the pre-sales, sales and marketing opportunities are open as well on this side of the quotient as well.
Great. So, is there anything else that you will like to add?
No, I think I would like to thank Learn for Cause. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. Keep your momentum high, and it's very important that we keep our environment as positive as possible, and especially after COVID, and our country and probably people are getting back to good shape right now. And so I wish everybody good luck and figure out how collaboratively we can do much larger perspective of jobs, and figure out how we can raise more employment, how we can do more innovations, we can solve more problems in the market, and it can come from any corner itself. So let's stay open to each other and figure out how best we can do around with things. So let's innovate.
Yes, sure. So, thanks a lot for joining us for this session, and I hope that these words will like guide youngsters and help them to get on their available career opportunities.
Thank
So,
you, Nikki.
hoping
Most
that everyone gets inspired from this session, and
thank you so much.
that will be all for today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Nikita. Thank you so much.